Okay, today I finally got my hands on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, which has all these built-in games, and it doesn't really take cartridges anymore. It's just a lot of the top selling or favorite games from the original Super Nintendo. And I actually had a few of these on regular Nintendo. But before we take a look at that, they originally released the NES Classic Edition in, I believe, November or fall of 2016. And I was sort of interested, but I quickly realized you couldn't find them anywhere. Then, around September 2017 is when they released the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. And we actually got the original Nintendo in the late 80s, probably around 1988, 1989. So when they released the Super Nintendo, I never ended up getting that. Probably because either one, I don't think my parents made a lot of money back then, or two, my parents just didn't think we needed it since we already had the original Nintendo. So I have played a few of these games because I knew people that had the system, so we'd always play on theirs. And here you can see on the back, there's a list of the games that it comes with. And a big difference between this and the original is going to be the size, because the original did not fit in the palm of your hand. So let's go ahead and look in the box and see what we've got. Now you're playing with superpower. Nice. Oh man, is this a poster? I think the original Nintendo actually came with a fold-out poster. That would be sweet if that's what this is. Oh man. Yeah! Oh, yes. I do remember the original Nintendo coming with a fold-out poster. I'm sure I don't have it now. But this is basically just advertising some of the games, and it looks like a quick start guide also. So you can see this is going to be a lot easier to hook up than the old systems. With the now you can use the HDMI cable, and then the power supply is just a USB to micro USB. So it's going to be pretty easy to set up. And here's your warranty and user agreement information. So this is a 5-volt charging brick with the Nintendo logo. So just like for your cell phone, which actually looks pretty nice. Here's your USB to micro USB charging cable, which isn't real long, but I'm guessing 4 feet. So this does come with 2 controllers. I believe the NES comes with only 1 controller, which that might be why this one's just a little more expensive. So just looking at this controller, this reminds me so much of the original Nintendo. I wish I had an original just to compare it with. The only thing I would say is this is sort of like a matte finish. And I want to say the original Super Nintendo was almost like a glossy finish. I could be wrong about that. And you can see here's how it connects to the actual Super Nintendo Classic. Here's your other controller, which is just like the other one. So even though I don't have an original Super Nintendo controller, I still do have my original regular Nintendo. So I'm curious what the size is to that. And so it is just a little bit larger than the original Nintendo. Of course, now this is made in China, and back in the 80s, this was made in Japan. I'm liking these controllers. This really makes me want to get the original now that I have the Super Nintendo version. So here it is, and sure enough, it does fit into the palm of your hand. One thing I forgot to mention is they do include an HDMI cable, and this isn't just any HDMI cable, it's got the Nintendo logo right on it. So I like that they included that. Very nice. So back to the system itself. Wow, I can't get over how small this is. But here's the cool part. It still uses the reset and the power. You can see it has an on and off there. And right there is where you'd put the cartridge in, although that's just for looks now. On the back side, you've got where the charging port is and the HDMI out. And you just pop that out where you plug in your controllers. So this is really nice. Now again, this is made in China. Let me see where my original Nintendo was made. So you can see my original Nintendo was made in Japan. So it's funny, this Super Nintendo is probably 50%. I don't even know if it's 50% the size of the original Nintendo. And here's the size just next to the controller. So if you take two regular Nintendo cartridges, they're actually larger than what this Super Nintendo is. Okay, so enough of that stuff. Let's hook it up and see how it plays. So the first thing I noticed down at the bottom where it says Super Nintendo is a little bit fuzzy or pixelated. I'm not sure why that is. So it looks like it just starts playing the game after so many seconds. Is that from Donkey Kong? Yeah, that guy's funny. Okay, let's get back to what the games are. Okay, so here are the games that come with the Super Nintendo Classic. You've got Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, which I remember playing that game. That game is pretty sweet. EarthBound, not sure what that is. F-Zero, I don't think I played that one. Final Fantasy III, Kirby Superstar, which I don't think I played that one. I think I played Kirby's Adventures, Kirby's Dream Course, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania IV, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, that sounds familiar. Super Mario Kart, I actually played that game so much that my thumb would start hurting after hitting the arrows. Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, I don't think I played that one. Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, that's another game that I beat on the original, but I never really played it much on the Super Nintendo. The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Yoshi's Land, so you have 21 games in all. So it looks like you can sort the games by hitting select, by times played, release date, by publisher, by title, by two-player games, and by recently played. So there's three different settings for display. There's 4:3, pixel perfect, and CRT filter. Since TVs back then weren't widescreen yet, you're gonna have extra black space on the left and right. So they give you a few different options for the border. So it looks like there's only three settings: screen burn-in reduction, classic demo, my game, play demo. Or you can reset to factory settings. Here you can change what language it is. I think we'll just keep it on English. Oh wow. I think we'll save that for a different day to read through the legal notices. So they give you this QR code to get the manuals online, or you can just go to the link below. So I'm gonna see how far I can get on Super Punch-Out, and then I'll come back and give you my first impressions.
Yes! Right on!
So after playing this for a while, one thing that I realized is the cables are a little bit short. I think they're around 4 feet. So I bought these cables that are 10 feet in length on Amazon by Kawachi. I'll leave a link in the description below on which one I purchased. So it's pretty simple. You just plug this right into the extension and that locks in place. And then just plug the other end in. Snaps right into place just like the one that came with it. Then you've got up to 14 feet of cable. But there is one other issue. So in order to, let's say you're playing the game and you want to save your progress. Well, there is no save on here. To save your progress, you just hit the reset button, and then that will allow you to come back and play from that same spot. Now, once you hit the reset button, it will actually save by doing that. I know it sounds weird, but after you hit the reset button, it'll take you back to the home screen, and then you can hold down on the Y button once you go down to the reserve spots, and you'll see where you can arrow down. If you hold down on the Y button, then you can return from that spot later on. And it gives you 4 different save spots, so you can use it for different games or all the same game at just different save points. I kind of wish they put more spots on there, but at least it allows you to do that. So they don't really put a home button on here in order for you to get back to the home screen or the menu. Let's say you want to switch from one game to another. Well, you either have to reset or power on, power off. Unless you have a Wii Classic controller, there's a couple different types. I believe this is the Pro, which I'll leave a link in the description for this as well. But this actually has a home button, and it's so much easier than to hit reset every time. Let's say you're playing a game and you want to go back to the home screen, you just hit home. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And it even has the same button layout as the Super Nintendo. And it has the same exact connector as the controllers that come with the system. So I highly recommend a Wii Classic controller. Or if you already have one, it's just a good controller to use for this system. So if you're not sure whether you want a Super Nintendo Classic Edition or not, I would recommend borrowing one from somebody, play it for a little while. And I think you're gonna realize this is definitely a lot of fun and something you wanna add to your collection. Don't forget to subscribe and give a thumbs up if you haven't already. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.